Okay, we are starting a new chapter, and this chapter's name is Decisions. So we are adding another element to our programming or to our coding that will make our writing our programs a little bit more interesting. It will give us a little more flexibility, allow us to do more things, allow us to program more things. So first of all, what we've been doing right now is we've been doing what's called sequential or sequence structure. Sequence structure. So what we've been doing basically is just going from one line of the code to the next and not really skipping lines of code. It'd be like these directions. So this says, go west on this road, turn left here, enter the expressway, exit south at Arlington Heights Road, proceed, blah, blah, blah. So it's just doing these instructions in order, in sequence. But now we're going to give the computer, or the compiler, an opportunity to make decisions. We're going to code it so it will make decisions. So we're going to call this decision structure. Alright, so it's going to be called decision structure. And so as we look at this code on the right, you're going to see the difference here, because what's going to happen is it's not just sequence. We're going to do one thing and then the next and that's it, but there's actually going to be some lines of code or some directions that we're going to ignore. And so we have to make a decision which, or we're going to have the computer do that. So in here, here it says go west on this road, turn left on this road, but when you get to the expressway, there's a decision has to be made, and it's made on whether the expressway is backed up or not backed up. So if the expressway is not backed up, then we will go ahead and take the expressway and blah blah blah, and we'll end up where we want to be. And then if it is backed up, then we're going to take a different route, and we're going to take do these instructions, and so these would be ignored. Alright, so we're going to actually have the computer do this, and you're going to find that this is going to be very helpful as far as writing code, and it's going to give us much more flexibility. We're going to be able to write different types of code than what we had before. So first of all, let's talk about computer decisions. Now they are based on whether something is true or false. Okay, so the computer decisions are based on whether something is true or false, and these are called Boolean values. So true and false are what we call Boolean values. And so let's see, we have Boolean actually is a data type for variables. How is this doing this? I don't know why this is changing. Okay, anyways, this just does not make sense sometimes. Okay, so computer decisions are based on whether something is true or false. True and false are really Boolean values. Boolean is a data type for variables. Alright, so it's a data type for variables. In fact, just as ints only store integers and doubles only store decimals, Boolean variables only store two possible values, true or false. And so make sure that you write out the word true and write out the word false, and they're all lowercase, okay, because it's not a capital F, not a capital T, but it's a lowercase t and f. Decisions will be made based on the value of A Boolean expression. Well, what's a Boolean expression? So decisions are going to be made based on the value of a Boolean expression. Boolean expressions use two types of operators. They use relational, and they use comparison operators. So relational or comparison operators. If I said, how does 5 relate to 7? You might say, well, 5 is less than 7. So you're showing the relationship between these two numbers. This actually right here is a Boolean expression, because you're looking at it and you go, well, is that true or is that false? And so maybe I might ask you, well, how does 8 compare to 3? Well, you might say 8 is greater than 3. There's a comparison. So we call them comparison or relational operators. Are interchangeable. They mean the same thing. So the relational and comparison operators are greater than. Whoops, that's a bad one. They are greater than or equal to. And the greater than or equal to is two symbols. It's the greater than symbol and the equal symbol. Less than is another one. Less than or equal to is another relational or comparison operator. And then equal to, which has two equal signs. Because the equal sign by itself, this is an assignment operator. But this is used when you're trying to see if two expressions or two values are equal to each other. Not equal to has the exclamation point and an equal sign. So that means not equal to. Alright, we are going to move on. So Boolean expressions now, as we look at these, what are examples of Boolean expressions? Well, I actually already gave you a couple with just using numbers. Let's use variables though. And I just noticed a mistake in here. And so we're going to take care of that. Get rid of this space. There we go. Alright, so here's an example. If we said, well, let's go ahead and use this. Num1 is equal to num2. That is a Boolean expression, and it's evaluated to be true or false. In this case, num1 is not equal to num2, so the value of this expression is false. Oh my goodness, are you serious? So right above this, false, that's its value. The next, let's take another one. Maybe we could type num2 is greater than num1. Well, and then here's another one. Num2 is less than or equal to num1. And then num1 is not equal to num2. So these are just examples of Boolean expressions. And so the value of this expression, num2 is greater than num1, so 5 is not greater than 8, so this would, 8 is greater than 5, so this is true. Only write out the whole word, not just part of it. then so it's true, and then num2 is less than or equal to num1. That's false. And then num1 is num1 greater than or equal to is num1 not equal to 2? Well, that's true. It's not equal to. So each of these expressions have either the value true or false. That's the only possible things that you could have. So let's take a look at how this works in JGraphs then. So we look at this code that we have right here. We're going to look at it in an actual program, and so all you have to do is watch. And so here we have num1, which is 5, and num2, which is 8. And so you have Boolean, which is a data type, just like int is, and the name of the variable is result, and it's assigned the result of num1 is greater than num2. Well, then it says we're going to print the value of result. So this is going to be a variable call to this variable, and so the question is, what is the value? Well, it's got to be it's an evaluation, like a calculation. And so is it going to print num1 is greater than num2, or is it going to print true or false? And so as we look at this, then num1 is not greater than num2, so it should print false. So here we are. We're going to run it, and there it is. It prints false. If we change this to be, let's say, is num1 greater than or equal to, then less than or equal to, then it should print, instead of false, it should print true. And so here we are, we run it, and there it is. It prints true. So it's printing the value of either true or false. It's evaluating the Boolean expression. Alright, so let's go look at our notes again. And so what happened was, well, we don't have to show this necessarily, but the idea is that what's being stored in here, num1 is greater than num2, right here, is actually what it's storing in there is false. Lowercase, all lowercase. So that when we have the variable call, that's what it's returning, is the word false. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. So actually we'll stop this video, and we're going to introduce if structure and if else structure in the next video.